Hi guys, happy Friday. This is gonna be a long weekend, oh my god. Hopefully I don't start to flash. There, let's get closer, there we go. Alright, so, knot and cord magic. Back to traditional craft. And I'm dead set on moving to Penzance, whatever, somewhere in Cornwall. I am truly convinced that I will make it there one day. My pilgrimage, I will crawl. No, I won't crawl. Hell no. Alright, now, cord and knot magic within traditional craft. So this is really interesting. It's going to lead into the new moon, which is right now. It's in Gemini, so I don't know. Don't really care. But, so, there are a number of traditional working methods that are highly versatile in that they can be employed to achieve a wide range of magical goals according to the intent applied to our workings, as well as the observation of the current times, the correct times, and moon phases pertinent to the deed in hand. This is very interesting stuff. I love it. Alright, now one of the working methods most widely found in traditional witch magic across regions and indeed across the world is the use of cords and threads. So employed as tracks along which to draw spirit force and spell, we have seen them used in protective charms and conjurations with such things as hagstones, rowan berries, or to entice, trap, or occupy spirits by the inclusion of many tangled threads within witch bottles and spirit houses. So those giant paintings you see with stretched string, that's the, those are some, they can be spirit traps or just something for them to play with. I like it. So, cords may offer yet greater working versatility when perceived and brought into action as the strands of fate. So, of people, places, or objects. So, here, influence for either good or bad can be exerted over the target once identified with the cord and the working intent of the practitioner tied into knots along its length to cause changes and influences upon the target. Really works well. It's really, really powerful. But it's very simple. So, you would not think that the simplest step would be the most powerful, but it usually is. So, the 9-knot spell is traditionally used to bring change and exert influence. So it is performed by the contemporary witch with a popular form of a spoken charm, of which there exist a number of versions. So below is Gemma Gary's, and I just think that this is beautiful. It's beautiful. It incorporates the serpentine energy, the serpentine flow, the sproul. So it's really good. So by knot of 1, O serpent, come. By knot of 2, the spell to do. By knot of 3, I conjure thee. By knot of 4, 'tis through the door. By knot of 5, the spell to thrive. By knot of 6, the spell to fix. By knot of 7, now I have 'em. By knot of 8, 'tis sealed by fate. And by knot of 9, the spell I bind. Very, very, very simple. And you can actually, while doing that, I actually did my cord on May's Eve, and I actually incorporated the serpentine energy of that time when the serpent was becoming more and more, emerging from the land, and all of the different holy wells and the different ley lines and all that good stuff. So I actually have I have actually 9 knots tied in my cord for that specific purpose. So it was on the new moon, or the full moon, thank God. And literally it's going to progress into the new moon, so I'm going to keep that to store and house that energy, because I am drained. Never realized how draining the new moon is. Very draining for me personally. So I am literally like ebbing badly, like to nothing. So I wish I could wear the serpentine. I do. It would be really helpful. Alright, so a method of cord magic is to pass the cord slowly to and fro through the smoke of a pertinent incense in the north of the compass to cleanse it and to identify it with the target of the spell. If it represents a living person, or if it is a representation of an item or situation, this is held firmly in mind and breathed into the cord. So you're breathing life into the cord. So the cord is then placed within the cauldron, which is slightly to the west of the center of the compass, as a sinistral round is walked to intensify the link with the target of the operation, and to gather the virtues that will aid the desired results. So, once this is potently established, the cord is taken up again and the 9 knots made along its length, reciting each line of the charm with each knot. When all the knots are tied, it is placed again within the cauldron, which has been moved to stand upon the pentagram, positioned slightly south of the center, and a dextral round is walked, so to raise and intensify the gathered virtues, and to bring the desired effect of the working into manifest reality. Now, once complete, a knotted cord may, if circumstances permit, be left close to the target to work its influence over them, or, when representative of something to be rid of, throw it in the fire or buried to rot. So the color of the cords used with will be pertinent to the intent of the spell. Now, in Cornish magic, there are 3 colors of choice, and these are red, green, and black, which I like. So that's the traditional witch's cord, working cord of the Cornish witch. Which this I don't know why I didn't really get into this book earlier. I mean, it's always been traditional witchcraft for me, but it was traditional British, and I just find the Cornish so much more fulfilling. It's just a lot more fulfilling for me. Alright, so however, a red cord is kept for most operations, and a black one kept for acts of getting rid of magic and blasting, which is what we can do now for the new moon. So in addition to the above, the knotted cords are also employed to draw upon and store certain virtues, whereby the knots will be untied later to release the virtues to lend power to certain spells. Well, I would power to myself, because I need that energy, that little boost of energy, so yeah, I don't know. A notable example is the moon cord, or the moon ladder, which is very similar to the witch's ladder, so in which the lunar virtue is stored for later use. So that is literally what my cord was during the full moon. So there is also what may call the witch's ladder, used by the witch to access certain powers and virtues, which are tied into the knots along its length, and is made and empowered during the rite of witch initiation. So usually the ends of the moon cord are tied or bound with red thread. So I honestly don't know why. I have no clue, but it is. That's just how it is. Alright, now candle and pin magic. Alright, pin cushions. All of you, I know you guys have seen all of your grandma's pin cushions with those glass beads, multicolored glass bead heads on those pins in a pin cushion. I have my grandma's somewhere, I don't know where it is. But there are red, green, and black pins in it, all of it. That's all there is, so I don't know. She was, I don't know where she's from. I don't really honestly know. Italian. Yeah, pure Italian. So that would be the Romani. Well, that would be my side, my father's side. The Romani gypsies. So the candle and pin magic, very similar to what we just went over. This is really interesting. So, okay, now working in much the same way as cord and knot magic. The candle takes the place of the cord, and the pins operate much like the knots do. So here the candle is a representative of the target, topped by their or its light of being. So the pins are heated briefly within the flame and are inserted into the body of the candle, each one conveying the will and intent of the spell into the candle, thus directing the desired influence to the target. It's really simple. Very simple. So as the flame of being reaches each pin to let it fall from the candle, that part of the spell is seen to have fully taken hold, or according to the nature of the spell, to have actually brought about the desired change the pin conveyed. So as with cord magic, color plays an important role. Usually only either a white or a black candle will be used depending on the nature of the work at hand. White for such thing as generative magic, healing, and etc. Black for consumptive magic, cursing, mind control, for good or bad, etc. So, alright, now the pins, however, may vary in colors, as Cornish witches keep a good array of different colored glass-headed pins, catering for a wide range of magical intentions and planetary influences. So candle and pin work may also be undertaken as an act of divination, where the timing of the pin's falling, its distance from the candle, direction of pointing, and its relationship to other fallen pins may all be read by the divining witch. So that's really interesting how the pins will fall. So it would have to be on something like I don't know, like maybe some kind of a plate that you like inscribe different, stuff onto sigils, houses, like maybe the zodiac, stuff like that. Possibly yes, no, different, runes maybe. So this all has to do with the moon. So now we have the rites of the moon within traditional Cornish craft. A cigarette. I do. I'm almost out. That's not good. All my patrons, just so you guys know, will be getting witch powder when it comes, when all of my ingredients come in the right time the moon is here, and the right day is here, and the right time is here. You guys will be getting witch's powder, and you guys will also be getting one of these, a traditional witch's necklace. Yeah, that's not working. This is hard. I can't multitask. Alright, now rites of the moon within traditional craft. Sorry, I just kind of got distracted by St. Jude up there. I don't know why. So, the time of the full moon brings increased potency to the generative and vision-inducing virtues of the serpentine flow. And so it is for the witch a time that lends itself to a variety of useful work. After the rites of the compass have been done in either simple or grand form, there is no one rite of the full moon to be observed within Cornish witchcraft. What takes place during a full moon rite depends entirely on the work to be done at that time. If much work has been done since the last full moon, practitioners may feel themselves to be at a low ebb and lacking in sproul. Yes, big time. And so the witch may seek to imbibe this vital force through the dancing of the round to conjure and draw deeply upon the serpentine flow and via the rite of the troil. So taking full advantage of the time of increased potency that the full moon brings. Now, useful lunar forces and sproul will also be stored at this time for later use by means of the moon cord, which we just went over, which is made from 3 9-foot white cords plaited together and bound at the ends with red thread. Now the witch, after having danced the round to gather and raise sproul within the circle, will raise their cord to the face of the moon and conjure its force and the raised sproul into 9 knots tied along the cord's length. So each is tied with only the left eye open so that the moon, the face of the moon, may be visible within each knot before it is pulled tight. So each of the 9 knots may be united at a later time, to lend extra strength to magical workings. So this potent time is also very highly useful, not only for gathering herbs, but for mixing and charging magical powders and other substances, as well as the ritual charging of magical items and charms. It is also a time for generative magic and conjurations around the hood fire. So it is known by the Cornish witch folk that heightened generative potency and life force is not the only thing to be drawn upon from the serpentine flow during the full moon. From the serpent there is another force that may at places issue forth in abundance, and that is the force known as the serpent's breath. Very interesting. Very. So, to draw upon this force, the peller will take their full moon rites down into the damp sea caves. I would love that. Haunted fogos or potent holy wells. So places where this hypnotic, chthonic force may more easily be encountered and in a more, consecrated form. So very potent, very raw. So there they commune with this force, drowsing deeply within it, receiving visions, answers, and life. So drawing upon the serpent's breath will aid greatly the visionary abilities of the witch. Perfect. One full moon rite for visionary and divinatory purposes is that known down here in Cornwall as calling down the moon. This name is obviously related to the Wiccan rite of drawing down the moon, but the Cornish version in essence a quite different and seemingly simple rite. So I love this, I love it. So in calling down the moon in Cornish witchcraft, we have, so for this, what is that? The good old copper basin is filled partly with water. So, and it is better for this rite if it can be drawn from a holy well. Now the witch will stand looking intensely at the moon, working to achieve a trance state, with the basin before them on the ground. So then they will take this up gently and raise it to the moon, drawing its virtue into the water before lowering it gently back to the ground. So the witch will then kneel before this basin, one knee and gaze on one knee, and gaze at the moon again for a while, and then down to the dancing reflection of the moon in the water. The witch will look at the moon for one last time, and then after a while draw their gaze slowly downward to the reflection of the moon within the copper vessel. And copper is used because it is. It's conductive. It's very conductive. It's very magical, and it's got a lot of other magical properties, and it's associated with Venus, and yes. So, and there seek visions and answer to their questions. So, this water will also prove useful within the rite, a little extra lunar virtue with all of the full moon rites, within all of the full moon rites. The witch will make sure that they have quartz stone with them, for this will serve to enhance the flow of serpentine force during the proceedings, and thus aid greatly any work done. So, rites at the full moon are of course always concluded with a joyous troil rite, and that is the red meal. So that is calling down the moon within traditional witchcraft. Very, very simple. Okay. Now, alright, we're going to go into the new moon for this one, and then I'm done for today. Alright, now when the moon is dark, a quite different, I can't read my own writing, quite different, great, still highly useful situation arises without other opportunities to get work done. Whilst it is true that the traditional witches in general can be fairly quiet affairs, with declamations and spoken charms often being muttered rather than spoken aloud, rites of the new moon are mostly silent, with any ritual declamations being muttered or whispered very quietly indeed. The new moon is a time for rites of inward journeying, looking deeply into the self for answers, and delving for anything buried that may otherwise throw up inconvenient surprises at later times. For the traditional Cornish witch, that universal occult maxim, know thyself, tells of an important magical parakeet, whatever, that is always, I can't read my own writing, that is always striven for. Journeys will not only be made into our inner worlds, but to underworld of our beloved dead. For the new moon is also a time for ancestor communication, and acts of atavistic seeing and divination will be made to seek ancestral wisdom and guidance. If only the new moon gave energy. Literally, I need it. So, where'd I go? Okay, so now in such rites, the black mirror is an ideal tool, making use of the inward and consumptive virtues of the serpentine flow. Magical workings at this time of the new moon will largely consist of get rid of magic, as well as magic of the toad, to influence the mind and emotions of others for either good or bad, if need be. So I made this necklace. This necklace is probably for the new moon then, leading up to the new moon, because it is all black obsidian, so the next one will probably be just regular quartz beads, real quartz, so. Alright, where did I go? Okay, yeah, okay, so it is also a time for acts of owl blasting. Huh! Funny, the things that you acquire over a period of time, and it just kind of all adds up in the end. That big synchronicity that just kind of boom. So, anyways, where'd I go? Owl blastings when such is necessary. The stone of choice for the rites of the new moon is the black obsidian. Oh, this is black onyx, not black obsidian. So, but it is a stone that aids inward focus and the revealing of things held deep. It is also of protective quality, which will be found by many to be a useful virtue during such work. So a sphere of obsidian called a moon crystal or a moonstone is sometimes kept, useful in both rites of inner visionary during the dark of the moon, but also in seeing work under a full moon, where her hypnotic image may be shown on the sphere's black surface. Lots to be done during the full moon. So tomorrow we'll actually go on to the furry nights, rites of the years round, and it's actually really interesting stuff. This is why I want to move to Cornwall. I really do. I don't know. I've heard different mixed reactions about trying to move down to Cornwall or somewhere like that. Over wherever. I mean, I'm obviously in the United States, nowhere near Cornwall. Wish I was. For other festivities, their May Eve festivities and festivities that take place after May's Eve, and it's just beautiful. It really is beautiful. So Gemma, Gary, thank you for this wonderful book that you have published. It is so, it's like soul food. It is. It's wonderful. It makes you appreciate things a bit more. So, but alright guys, I will see you all tomorrow. I love you guys very much. Everybody stay safe. Bleh. I love you very much. With all my heart, all the way from Venus, all the way back down. And I love you all. So please be safe, guys. And I will see you guys tomorrow. So happy new moon, if it's appealing to you. If not, then forget I said that. But I love you guys, and everybody have a great weekend.